Here again. Hi guys, we are here again. Yes, yes. Hello, hello, hello. I have my iPad ready and raring to go. We want to see those questions. First of all, let me again introduce the one and only Auntie Bon. Okay, so her name is Bontricia Bastian, but as you know, I have to call her Auntie's how I was raised. So I'm introducing Auntie Bontricia, master educator. She is an amazing woman. You guys have seen her on Instagram. She's a people person. She responsive. She teaches makeup worldwide. She's heading to Nigeria this coming week. Then she has her show in Las Vegas. Then she has one or two in Jamaica. She just goes all over the globe and she's doing what all of us want to do, makeup. So I want to introduce Bontricia Bastian to everybody, and y'all go say hi to her.
Hi everybody. How's everybody doing today? We set this up. Actually, I am going to answer as many of your questions today as possible. It's strange. I'm talking to this Paulette. Fix this. What is it now? See, I'm seeing her. I don't see me. It's strange. I can't talk when I don't know. I feel like I'm talking to just the screen. There. That's
oh,
me.
Auntie, I should tell them.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I should tell them that to comment, post it underneath the video on YouTube. So like I post a regular YouTube comment, that's why you're asking questions. Just post them underneath the video on YouTube, and yeah, all your questions will be answered.
Yeah, that's better. Now, actually, everybody, it's morning for me. Oh, no, it's afternoon now. It's like 12:30 here in Las Vegas. So it's 3:30 where you are. Good morning, good afternoon, good day. I am here today so that whatever questions you have, I can answer them. I will try to show you bits and pieces if I can real quickly. As you can see, I'm at home, upstairs in the office, and I am here to answer your questions. So instead of me just rambling so we could get as much done as possible, Simone, do you have any questions at all as yet?
Okay, let me check. I have to keep on refreshing. So wow, 62 comments. Hi, how are you? Hi, hi. Okay, guys, get those questions. I'm rolling in. What you want to ask Auntie Bontricia? They're just saying hi, and I'm excited. And oh my gosh, hi everybody. And hi brownies. They're all just saying hi. So I'm going to wait probably a couple more seconds for them to post their questions.
Not a problem. In the meantime, one of, as I mentioned so many times, one of my actual pet peeves is contouring. Now, contouring, which is the process of lightening or darkening, what you guys know as highlights and lowlights. It's important because we have to know why we do it. Why are we contouring when we do somebody's face? Like a couple of people asked me through Instagram, and they also asked me through Facebook, and they also emailed me. And one girl said, well, I don't see why I should even contour. If I don't want to, why am I doing it? Now let me tell you the reason why you want to contour. You want to contour, first of all, because let's say, for example, if you ever see a photograph, and when you see the photograph, it's almost like it's flat, it has no dimension whatsoever. Now, when you highlight and you put low lights, what you're actually doing, you're actually pretty much carving out, the image. So instead of the person sitting back here on paper, it's almost like they're pushing out towards you this way. So it gives more dimension to the image when you actually put highlights and lowlights, when you lighten areas and you darken areas. And that is what you're trying to achieve whenever you're doing highlighting or you put lowlights or what you guys call contours. Now, why is this important to do? It's important because it will give texture to your work. The work will look like it means something, and it will actually look a lot better. So therefore, that is one of the reasons why you want to make sure that you put highlights and you put lowlights, because then it gives texture and meaning to the image when it's on paper. So like as I said before, it's like the person sitting back here or the person pushing towards you. See, this way it looks almost like they're jumping out of the frame instead of just sitting back flat on a piece of paper. Now, highlighting and lowlights cannot be done the same way on every single facial shape. The whole purpose of doing highlights, see, Paula is driving me crazy here. See, the reason of doing highlighting and lowlighting is not only to correct, but it's also to enhance. So we have to make sure that whenever we decide that we're going to do it, we have to know what it is that we're trying to accomplish when we're doing this. What are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to make the person look younger? You're trying to make their nose look smaller. You're trying to make their eyes look like they're closer together, further apart. Or you're trying to make their brows look like it's lifted so it gives them an illusion of youth. What are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to make the brows higher? Are you trying to make the lips smaller, the lips thinner? Are you trying to make the lips look corrected? Is the top lip thinner than the bottom lip? So those are the different things that when you decide that you're going to do this, you have to know why you are going to highlight and lowlight. Whether it is for correction and enhancement or just an enhancement. You have to know what you're doing, what are you trying to achieve when you're actually doing this. What you're trying to achieve is what we call that oval shape from outside of somebody's face. So you have to be able to know what an oval shape look like and what you're trying to do once you're trying to do the work. So we have any questions as yet?
Yeah, I have one question. I have one question from D Nice. How to hide under eye puffiness, and that came in about a minute ago.
Yeah.
Okay. How to hide under eye puffiness. Now, is it just puffy or is it bags? There's two distinct different things. So what you want to do, you want to know, are you just trying to hide puffiness? Because sometimes people are just a little tired, or are you trying to hide bags? Some people it's hereditary. Their mother had bags, their grandmother had bags, and they had bags from pretty much from they were little. So there's a difference between puffy eyes and bags underneath the eyes. If it's puffy eyes, sometimes just by using just a little bit of, some people use like, you know, they almost cool like a piece of metal, the thing that you use for swollen areas, and they just place it there and it will actually make the area, it's called inflamed tissues. So
like,
what happened is actually, go ahead. What did you say?
Like a spoon, auntie, like cooling a spoon and putting it under the eyes?
Almost like a cold spoon. You can make a spoon cold and just press the spoon onto the area and it will actually like shrink the swelling. Some people have bags under the eyes. The bags under the eyes are a total different entity. When you're doing the makeup, you have to treat that differently than just puffy eyes. Puffy eyes, eye cream also will take care of puffy eyes. If you're using, like after a certain age, pretty much all of us need a little bit of eye cream. So it's actually formulated just to be used under that area alone. And it's actually formulated different. You could get it at most cosmetic counters, different counters that have skincare. Most people, if you can't afford the stuff inside of the department or the specialty stores, you can actually go and purchase this at the drugstore. Different lines have eye cream. That will help with the puffiness. But if you're talking about bags under the eyes, then when you're doing the makeup, that takes a different kind of correcting in order to do that. So just puffy eyes, eye cream should take care of it. Or sometimes you just need something cold. Sometimes you just put like crushed ice with water, and you put like a spoon and you just press it there on the area for a little bit, and that will normally shrink it because it's just sometimes just inflamed tissue. So pretty much sometimes that's all it is.
Okay. Auntie Chic Impressions wants to know, she says she uses a primer and a setting spray, but makeup still slips off her nose. She wants to know what she can do to get rid of that problem, and is there any tips on any products that she can use? It's always her makeup always slipping off her nose.
Okay. Now, first of all, when you have extremely oily skin can't just be addressed with your makeup. Extremely oily skin have to be addressed before you even put makeup on. So your cleanser, toner, and your moisturizer should be designed just for oily skin types. Like if you have extremely oily skin, for example, Clarins has they have a toner that has powder actually in the bottom of it, and you have to actually shake the toner before you use it, and it absorbs oil. Then your cleanser have to be designed for oily skin. So for example, you can't use a creamier cleanser, you have to use more of a foamy cleanser. Something more like more soapy that suds up, that gets rid of all that excess oil. Another thing that you're going to have to do, your moisturizer has to be oil-free. So sometimes the products that we're using before we put the makeup on is what is producing all this oil. Another thing that produces oil too, are you doing your foundation with your hands? If you're using your own hands to do your foundation, that will also produce oil. For example, my body temperature on your body temperature, or even if you put your own fingers on your face and you start to rub, it's called friction. Friction is going to activate your oil or your sebaceous glands. Once it activates your oil gland, you're going to produce oil, and it's not right away, but sometimes it takes a while for it to come and leave the follicle and come out onto the skin. So you shouldn't be using your own fingers, first of all, to put on your foundation. If you're not using your finger, and if you're using the proper cleanser, toner, and moisturizer, then you should also choose a foundation that is oil-free. So your foundation can't be real oily. So if you notice where I'm going, every step of the way, if you're extremely oily, you have to prevent oil. How you put on your primer has a lot to do with it too. Your primer should be put on with a brush along with your foundation at the same time. You shouldn't touch especially your nose with your fingers, because then you're warming up your skin and you're producing oil. Then, most importantly, after you put on your primer and your foundation, you must set it with a powder. If you're not setting your makeup, even if you use a primer and you use a setting spray, guess what? Your makeup is going to slide right off in a couple of hours. So you cannot use, a setting spray is not intended to replace your powder. A setting spray is just that. Your setting spray should not replace your powder whatsoever. So you need to think about that too.
Okay. Auntie Samuel Waldron wants to know how to shape the brows.
How to shape your brows. For example, I notice a lot of people, when it comes to the brows, they have this wing thing going. Actually, it's almost easier to show you than to tell you. I'm gonna bother Paulette. She's gonna be so mad at me because she don't have on no makeup. Let me move my chair over. Miss Paulette, if you'll be so kind as to bring your chair over here. She's acting like she don't hear me talking. Come on, Miss Paulette, sashay on over. Yes, bring that chair right here. I'm just gonna show you on Paulette, and then especially Paulette is not 25. Paulette is actually over 60. So
I am not.
yes, you are. She's old as dirt. She's old as dirt. Father time. Okay, now, if you notice, most of her brow is gone. Now, why is this? This is intentional. Because don't fix your face like that, like you said. This is intentional. Because as you age, what happened, gravity starts to work against you. Gravity pulls everything down. So what happened, when you're younger and your brows start up here somewhere, as you get older, gravity pulls on it and it starts pushing the brows down. Now, in order for you to stay looking younger, longer, you're going to have to create what we call as an optical illusion. You have to give the assumption or the illusion that you're actually younger. Like, for example, my brows. If you look at them, you see they arch all the way up here and across, but I don't look like that without it. I actually took off almost all of it like Paulette did, so that we can then draw the brows on where we want them. Now, for example, let me grab my glasses here, and let me see if I can show you this real quickly. When it comes to the brows, first of all, I'm just going to put just a little bit of foundation on Paulette's eye area. So we have something to work with. Usually I'd use a little primer, but this time we're just trying to show you this real quick so you'll have an idea. I just happen to have had these things right here. Now, once you put somebody's foundation on, the foundation goes on, onto the nose, onto the lids. I don't use an eye primer. I use foundation to do it. And then if I was putting foundation on her, I would have put the foundation underneath her eyes and away. Open your eyes and look up. I would have put her foundation on, here, up, and away. This way, I'm creating what we call an optical illusion. Eyes follow lines, even though the lines are invisible. Take the foundation all the way up underneath her eyes, up onto the cheekbone, and everywhere else, the foundation would go downwards, just like this. So we start off, when I do my brows, I put foundation onto the face before I even do anything else. This is downward, because we want the lines to follow the nose going down. Open your eyes and look up. Foundation goes underneath, all the way up onto the cheekbones, 45 degrees up. So right away when you look at her, she automatically starts looking younger. See, almost like even the lines underneath the eyes are almost disappearing. So right away on this side of her face, she looks younger than on that side of her face that has nothing. Also, if you look the eye over on this side, look like you lifted it, and the eye over on the other side look like it's falling down. So you start your brows by putting on foundation first onto the skin. So usually after I put the foundation on, I would have set the brows, I would set my foundation with a powder. But let me show you something real quickly. Now, when I do the brows, what will help me to shape the brows is what we call isolation. Isolation is when I'm going to isolate Paulette's darker brow right here in between two lighter colors. So I would go to a lighter foundation color. And when I go to the lighter color, the first place I'm going to put the highlight, I'm going to put the highlight right underneath her brow. So then this is how you shape them. You go and you take it and you put it here. I'll turn her around in a minute. You use the color onto the brow bone because that's where you're trying to build. You're trying to build the brow bone area. So you're first going to put it right underneath the brow bone. The next place where you're going to put the color, you're going to put the color above her brow bone because we're going to isolate the brow in between two lighter colors. So we automatically going to make her brow look like it's more. And this way, by doing this, you're actually telling where you want the brows to go. So then you highlight above. And then, of course, I would have just softly, because under a woman's, above her brow and under her eyes, are actually a couple places on her that's always dry, irregardless of her skin type. So you would have gone and you would have powdered this area right here. Let me see if I find our powder brush real quick. And then we have some powder right here. I would go ahead and I would set the foundation with powder. So we would set above the brow. And then what we're going to do is that we're also going to set below the brow. Of course, you could use a smaller brush because the smaller brush gives you more detail and you'll be able to work within that smaller area if you would like. So you can take a smaller brush, pick up the powder, and this way you can actually help to chisel the look if you want. Once you set above the brow and once you set below the brow, you're actually placing somewhere now nice and matte so that once you draw the brows on, the brows will actually stay. Now, I use a brow pencil because what the brow pencil does is that the brow pencil will give me an opportunity. It has in wax. So even though she's over 60, if she has a hot flash, she don't want me to say she's over 60. She over 20. So how about we leave it at that? She's over 20. So because she's over 20, what happened is that if she has a private summer or what we call a hot flash, I don't know any 20-year-olds that have a hot flash. But in case that happens, the brows will stay in place. Now what I do is take my brow pencil and I am going to arch and help to create the brow. Now keep in mind we don't want wings because we don't want her to fly away. So what we could do, the brows, first of all, you have to start the brows 45 degrees from the corner of the eye is the furthest the brow should go. Then the furthest the brow should go to end should be 45 degrees away from the outer corner of the eye. So if you take it all the way here, it will still look nice and natural. It will look like they're artificial or made up. Then you can start the brows. The highest point of the brow should either be dead center to the pupils, or it could be 45 degrees from the tip of the nose, could be where the highest point is. So either place, it will also end up right there. Then once you decide to draw the brows on, do not use the points of your pencil. Use the sides of your pencil. Now, if you're using brow powder with a brush, then that is fine too. My personal preference is just to use a pencil because it has more wax. And even if the lady perspires a little bit, the brows will stay way after the hot flash is gone. So then I basically just start to build. Now, what I'll do is start to build pretty much about right there where the brows are. See, right at the corner, 45 degrees over. So it could go as far as this, but I don't necessarily want her brows to go all the way there until, because you could start here, and if you have to, you move over. But if you start all the way over here, then you're going to have to clean the whole thing off, and that's not a good idea. So you start here, and then you just basically start to line the brow. And you line here, keep it nice and crisp and clean. Then you're going to line the brows all the way over. I'll show you in a second when I turn her around, because I didn't expect this to be a tutorial. So I just happen to have these things up here in the office, so that's why I am using it. So basically, as you draw, so you don't have to paint the brows on. You don't have to use a seal. You don't have to use any of those things for the brows. So actually, as you start painting, you start drawing the brows on, these brows will stay on until she washes her makeup off. Now, granted, normally I would have put powder and all of that other good stuff, but the brows will literally stay wherever you put them. So all you have to do is start here, they go up, you go across, because you want the lady's brows to look natural. I know you guys see a lot of stuff on YouTube and you see a lot of stuff on Instagram. But to be very honest with you, I only know how to keep it real with people. And the way I see it, I've been in the industry for over 30 years. And when you've been in the industry as long as I have, now there are people who have tons of followers, but at the same time, they're not making any money. Now, how do you transition from just having followers to making money? Your work has to be clean. Your work has to be what we call work that you would put on the cover of a magazine. You have to make sure that your work is crisp and is clean all the time. There's absolutely nothing wrong with using color. Color has its place, but it can't be all you do every day, all the time. Every time you go out your house, you're wearing 27 different eyeshadow colors on your eyes. And then on top of it, you put a whole bunch of color on the eyes, and then you turn around and you put a whole bunch of color on the lips. You have to decide which one do I want to be my focal point? Do I want my focal point to be the eyes, or do I want my focal point to be the lips? If you're going to do blue lips, orange lips, pink lips, I've seen them now, green lips, yellow lips, gold lips. I don't care what color the lips are. If you're going to do the lips, let the lips be your focal point of the day. And keep the eyes nice and clean and neutral. If today you decide that, you know what, I want to look like a peacock, I'm going to put 27 colors on my eyes, that's perfectly fine. If you're doing it well, it's going to look like art. But at the same time, you have to then make your lips nude for the day. You shouldn't do both. It should be one or the other. Now, there are instances where you can wear them both when you intend it to be more editorial and it's your intention to do that. But keep this in mind, that the people that pay to get their makeup done are intimidated by color. I'm going to say it again. The people that pay to get their makeup done are intimidated by color. So they will look at a lime green eyeshadow like, oh my God, that is so pretty. But guess what? They don't want to put it on. And if it's all you wear, they think that if it's because you wear it, then they don't realize that there's a difference between your creativity and your work. So they think that if you wear it, it's the only thing you know. So you have to mix it up. You know, if you're going to do color one day, let them know that, oh my God, you wear such pretty colors. But at the same time, you do this nice, nude, safe stuff. People want what is safe. And what is safe is just neutral tones. So your work should reflect both. If you want to do something bright and exotic, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But it can't be all that you do. If you see all the makeup artists that are doing celebrities and they're making money doing makeup, look at their work. Most of the times it looks so boring, you think, but that's what people want and that's what people are paying for. So when it comes to the brows, it's the same thing. Even though y'all don't think that this is quite exciting, I wish the lighting in here was better. You would see it up close and better, because if I'm doing something on YouTube, I would make sure that I have the lights and the proper cameras that we could zoom in and you could see. But what you have to understand is people want something that is just crisp and clean and natural looking. They don't want the brows to look like their wings and they're ready to fly away. Because what it's going to do, it's going to scare the people that spend their money from coming and asking you to do their makeup. And that's just the fact of the matter. Next question. Thank you, Ms.
First of all, they're saying Auntie Polity don't look a day over 60. Oh my gosh, girl, you look so nice.
Thank you.
Over 20.
Yeah, you don't look a day over 20. They're saying you're hot, and everybody's saying Paulette looks good. I agree.
Paulette looks hot right now
Thank you.
because we're under these hot lights, so we burn it up. And you know, both of us are menopausal, so any minute now we're both gonna have a hot flash.
Put this on your
Okay, so Vanessa Gwynn is asking, what if you have an older client and she does not want to take off the ends of her brows? How do you shape her face to make it look younger?
Well, by the time I finish telling her how old she looked,
That's fun.
by the time I'm finished showing her what she could look like and what she looks like now, she can get off the brow. I'm going to tell you how I use that trick. How I do that trick is real simple. What I do is that I take a white pencil. I take a white pencil, and what I do, every part of her brow that should be gone, I put the white pencil there. I then pencil in with my brow pencil exactly what the brow is supposed to look like. I then turn her around and let her see my side, and I let her see her side. When she sees that she starts looking at least 10 years younger over here right away, I never get a no. So you need to master the sales skill. Show them why they should fix it. And if you show them why they should change it, they will always do it. People don't have a problem with doing stuff if they understand why they're doing it. Now, if she insists that she don't want it taken off, most of the times, if I can't convince her, then I don't want her money. Because you ain't going out there and telling nobody, I put no makeup on you. But most of the time, 99.9% of the time, she will always, if you show her why, she will listen. Next question.
So, Sikali says, what is the best way to apply foundation and powder on a more mature skin to avoid the wrinkles looking obvious?
All right, it's not just foundation and powder, it's what kind of foundation and powder. When it comes to the more mature woman, what I have a tendency of using on her is that HD liquid foundation. The HD foundation, simply because as they get older, they get what, Paulette? Drier. Dryness is the enemy of the woman that is aging, because everything starts to dry out. Her skin, the scalp get dry, everything gets dry. Now, what I usually do, I usually use the liquid HD foundation on somebody like that. Paulette, where did I put, it's back here somewhere. I wasn't even going to use it today. No, it's right under there. The liquid HD foundation, what it is, because it leaves like a natural, somewhat like of a glow to the skin, it actually what we call deflects light. It's under the bottom, Paulette, the bottom one, not there.
No.
It actually deflects light, or did I put it over here?
Yeah.
It's over there. It's over on that side. It actually deflects light. So what does that do? Because because you're bending, they can still see you. It's right over there. Because I didn't intend to use it, but I'll just give me one. Just give me one. Yes. Yes. So this is a liquid HD foundation. What I usually do, couple things. It is full coverage, so it will totally cover anything that she has on her skin. Then what you also do, because it actually have light deflectors in it, when you put it on her skin, it gives the illusion of that the skin looks younger. When it comes to mature women, I use a loose translucent powder, like this. I don't use the pressed powder. The pressed powder have binders in it. What the binders do, the binders are what you use to take the powder from loose to press it that it will stay together. The binder also have a residue, and the binder is heavier than the translucent loose powder. So I use usually liquid, and I use a loose powder to set her foundation. And it will make her look like 20 years younger. It will make her look softer, but you still have to use highlights on her, because the highlights is what is actually going to, especially, it's going to give the illusion as if she's lifted. So she must be highlighted. So you must highlight her underneath the eye, 90 degrees down, 45 degrees across onto, all the way up the brow onto the cheekbone, and then you have to make sure she's highlighted. You have to highlight underneath her eyebrows, and you have to highlight above her eyebrows. And in this case, you have to highlight down the center of her nose. Now, depending on her facial shape, then you would decide all the other places that you either have to lighten or darken. But highlights and lowlights should be based upon facial shape. But for texture and for looking younger, a liquid foundation for an older woman and a translucent loose powder is the way to go. Can't go wrong with those.
Right. Okay, so Patruka is asking, what about if you don't have no brows to do the isolation technique? Can it still work?
Oh, we do it all the time. As you see, Paulette barely have no brows. I pretty much have almost no brows. I've taken off everything, pretty much about halfway over is nothing. Now, if she has no brows at all, then what you would have to do, you would still have to imagine where the brows should be, highlight under that area, and highlight above that area. And then the area that is left in between, that's the area you're going to use to draw the brows in. So we do it all the time. What we do is highlight onto the brow bone and above the brow bone where the eyebrows are actually supposed to be on her face. And then what we do is fill in the rest of it with a pencil. Or you can do it with a powder. But if it's an older woman, I would recommend a pencil. The pencil hasn't waxed, so it would allow the brows to stay on a lot longer than the powder will.
Okay. Miss Pinky Sexy 101 says, what should no makeup artist be without in their kit?
What should no makeup artist be without in their kit? There's a whole bunch of things. But the first thing are your brushes. You, as an artist, should use brushes when you work. If you look at all of the large, successful makeup lines, every last one have brushes in their makeup line. So it's there for a reason. As an artist, you know, there were times when I didn't use brushes at all. Back when I taught, like all my first sets of students, I only used sponges when I worked. And why did I only use a sponge when I work? It's all I knew. And what I found out when I discouraged people from using brushes is because I really didn't know how to use them correctly. So because I'm just being honest. You know, I am a very transparent person. If somebody go and tell you what Trisha said, you can ask me. If I say it, I'll say, yes, I said it, and I'm going to tell you why. But I discourage people from things when I was afraid to use them. Like back in the day when I first started in cosmetology school, back when most of your eyes were at your knees, when I didn't know how to color hair properly, I used to discourage people from coloring their hair. Girl, you don't want to color your hair. It's going to damage your hair. It's going to make your hair fall out. So based upon that is fear. So what shouldn't you be without? Your brushes is number one. As a makeup artist, if say for example all your clients are white and you're white, or all your clients are black and you're black, or you should have all different color, all different hues in your makeup case. Why? You always start buying first for the client that you have. But moving forward, it's like you're sending a message to the universe that these are the people that I also want to do. If you're prepared for it, you will get them. So you should have all different foundation colors in your makeup case. Most manufacturers, and I manufacture cosmetics, most manufacturers can't stand me because I'll be the one to tell you the truth. You don't need all of that other stuff, a whole bunch of stuff. You need to have a good cream matte foundation that's a full coverage in your makeup kit. You must have translucent loose powders in your makeup kit because it works for your older client and it works for your younger client. It's just that they're a lot more messy and it takes a little bit more skill and mastery to use them. So if I'm starting out and I don't have a lot of money, I'm buying what I could use on everyone, and then as I build, I start to customize things. So I would make sure that I have a good matte cream foundation. It's full coverage and it's matte. I should have that in your case. You should have translucent loose powders in there. Not the one where you say one color fit all. That's not true. Just like one size don't fit all. One powder can't fit everybody. Everybody can't wear the same color powder. That's a bunch of crap. That's not true. Your powders should be colored. Your powders, nowadays, they make 20-something, 30-something different shades. Why are you having one and try to work so hard? It doesn't work that way. Work hard instead of working hard. Have translucent loose powders in your makeup case. Have yourself good brushes, foundation, powder. Have yourself a bronzer. A bronzer could be used to either warm skin up, or a bronzer could be used for a blush. For example, if you have a Caucasian lady and she's already too red, and after you neutralize that red and you make her look nice and clean and natural, by you putting a real bright, bright, bright pink, or sometimes those red blushes back on her cheek, you're bringing back the red that you canceled out in the first place. So a nice bronzer. Bronzer could be used to warm skin up, or a bronzer could be used as a blush. Make sure you have a good brow pencil in there. Now, you don't have to run out and go buy nothing expensive. You could actually go into Walmart. I can't believe I'm giving Almay a plug, but this is a little Almay brow pencil. It costs maybe $4-something or $5-something. You could buy. It's the same thing you would buy in the other places that sell it for 3 times more. It's a brow definer. You don't have to sharpen it. You use it and you do that. You should have a primer. A primer is extremely important because the primer does 3 things. The first thing the primer does is that the primer mattifies the skin. So all of that excess oil and stuff that you normally have to deal with, the primer takes care of that. The primer also fill in lines and open pores. So on your older ladies, the primer automatically will make her look a little bit younger right away just by using the primer. And the third thing that the primer does is that you use your primer that when you put the foundation on the lady, the foundation glides and move into wherever you want the foundation to be. This way you actually put things where you put them on purpose and they will stay there. So your primer, your brushes, your proper foundation, your powder. Of course, you have a bronzer that you can use as a blush, and then you have your bronzer to warm up the skin. Make sure you have lipsticks as well as lip glosses. Now, if your focal point, see, some people are known for the way they do eyes. If you're big on the way you do eyes, then you keep the lips nice and soft. So you pick like nice things. You don't need a lot of stuff. You just need to have the right things. I mean, it has to make sense. It has to be the right things and not a lot of things. Y'all have all kinds of stuff. Y'all have lip primer, eye primer, ear hair primer. You don't need all of that. One primer, when you put on your foundation, the foundation goes on the lips and on the lids as well. It neutralizes unwanted tone. So you don't need 3 and 4 different primers. And you don't ever need any kind of setting spray, because if you set your foundation with the proper powder, the makeup ain't going nowhere until you wash it off with soap at night. So you don't need all of that other stuff. So what you do, work smart and not work hard. Stop running out and buying more stuff, because there's 2 different kinds of people. There are people who own a lot of makeup, and there are people that are makeup artists. An artist is someone that sits somebody down. They know that when their eyes are too close set, how to make them push them back, make them look like they're further away. If her eyes are too far set, how are they going to put on her eyeshadow that you pull the eyes closer together? If her eyes are deep set, how you not make them look deep? If they're hooded, or if her eyes are, so these are the different things that you need to know. Focus on the skill and not on the product. Yes.
Okay, I have Lash on Instagram. She said she's taking notes, and her name is Lash in Brows and MUA. She said she's watching you right now, and she has our pencil and paper.
Okay, awesome. What does she need? What's her question?
She didn't have a question, but I just wanted to let you know that she's on there and she's taking it.
All right. Well, Auntie, I believe you covered this already, but Marsha Famura wants to know, do you have to contour every client?
I do. I contour every single client. Now, let's keep this real. There is this real crazy dark stuff chiseled. Don't think contouring is just a process of lightening or darkening. So it's whether you, for example, if you should see my makeup, and if I put, like if I'm running out, see, I'm guilty of this. When I run out with a husband, I just put one little color on and put on some powder and I go. And he said, how come when I see you everywhere else, you're looking all young and stuff, and when you go out with me, you're looking all frumpy? I'm looking frumpy because I didn't highlight. Now, should you highlight every single person? The answer is yes. The detail in which you do it is another thing. Because what you could do is take her up maybe 1 or 2 shades lighter under the area underneath the eyes. It makes every woman look younger. Every woman. Now remember, you're the artist. So every single time you do somebody, you want them to look their optimum best. So yes, you're going to highlight them every single time. And because you're highlighting, obviously the areas that are darker automatically become lowlights. So I didn't say you have to use a darker foundation on her. You can use a lighter shade to highlight the areas you want to emphasize, and you can let her own foundation color be the lowlights, or what you guys quick to call contour. So then you could actually have her own skin color be her contour, but all you have to do is go and put a lighter shade in the other areas that you want to emphasize. But as long as you're getting paid to do the work, every single time you have to use highlights and you have to use lowlights. Now, what do you do on a person that has an oval shaped face that you think don't need highlights or lowlights? I have an oval shaped face, but what happened, within my oval shape, I still have features on my face that needs to be corrected. Now, the reason why you still highlights why you contour, because then it's for enhancement. So it don't always have to be for correction. It could be just to enhance the way the person looks. So yes, every single time I do makeup, every single time I put makeup on myself and I'm going outside my house and I know that the possibility of me taking a picture is very high, I always make sure that I use my highlights and my lowlights every single time.
Right. Sweet, hold on. No, D-Nice says, how do you prevent a gray cast from developing below your eyes when highlighting?
The gray cast is produced by using the wrong product. If you, whatever you do, do not do anything that has to do with photography with stuff with sunscreen in it. Sunscreen, if I'm going to use anything with sunscreen, it has to be in my moisturizer and not in my product. As a woman of color, whenever you use anything that has sunscreen, it's what is called titanium dioxide. Titanium dioxide is topical. So what does it do? It acts like a signal It's like when you walk outside, like I have this on without sleeves. If I walk outside right now in the Vegas sun, when I come back inside 20 minutes later, I am automatically going to be darker in the areas that is not covered, and I'm going to be lighter in the areas that are covered. Because what my brain does, the brain sends a signal to my melanocytes, and the melanocytes releases melanin. It releases melanin to protect my skin against the sun. Now, sunscreen is inside of the product, and that's exactly what happened. Sunscreen is topical. So what happened is the moment you go outside, sunscreen pops up to the surface, and it has a grayish film to it. Now, on a woman of color, especially if she puts sunscreen all over her face and it's in her foundation and in her powders, what happened is that she has this grayish cast to her skin, almost make her looking like she's not really healthy. That's because sunscreen is topical. It's intended to protect your skin from the sun, so it's always going to rise to the top. So then you have to check to see if the product you're using has sunscreen in it. It will give a grayish hue or a grayish color onto the skin, especially on a woman of color. Now, on your Caucasian women or your fairer complexion women, they still have the topical film of the titanium dioxide, but because they're so fair, you don't see it. But on a woman of color, because once she puts it on and she has that blue undertone in her skin, because remember, anything that blue makes everything dark. So the darker the woman is, the more blue that's in her undertone. So when you put that titanium dioxide and it comes on top of the blue, what you left over with is a grayish, greenish film to the skin that make her look not so healthy. So the type of product that she's using has a lot to do with why she gets that result.
Okay, so Sweet Baby wants to know, can you talk more about how to write up contracts for working with other businesses and clients?
Okay, now it depends on where you live. If you live in the United States, pretty much we have laws. You know, we're the sue people capital of the world. You blink at me wrong, I'm gonna sue you. You look at me wrong, you're gonna get sued. But once, if you're, what I need for her to send back in, if she's coming to the conference either in Jamaica or she's coming to the conference in Las Vegas. If you're coming to the conference at either place, we're going to do a contracts law class. My sister, who's a contracts attorney that charges $1 gazillion an hour, is coming in and she's going to go over contracts. But I know a lot about contracts because I've written quite a few of them over time. But I prefer for a lawyer to talk about it, but I'll help you in the meantime anyway. When you do a contract with, let's say for example, a bride, your contract should have a clause in it that's called a limited liability clause. What does that say to the bride? How are you going to propose it to the bride? So, well, I just want you to sign this. First of all, when we take an appointment to do a bride's makeup, makeup is not like hair where we could put somebody else in the chair. Once you block out a date and you give it to somebody, sometimes it's not that easy for us to find another appointment. So when you do your contracts, your refunds should be based upon what we call in increments. For example, if she cancels right after she books you, then she can get almost all her money back. If she cancels halfway to the time, how much of her money are you going to give her back? If she cancels 30 days before the time of her wedding, how much of her money are you going to give her back or none at all? Remember, as makeup artists, most brides are booking someone for their wedding how far in advance? Sometimes 6 months to a year. So when someone cancels on us a month before their wedding, we don't necessarily can get another bride a month before her wedding. Am I right or am I wrong?
Right.
So exactly. So most brides are looking for their makeup artist 6 months before, a year before, especially if they're a Caucasian bride. The minute he asks, she go look for her makeup artist. You know, most of the others, you know, they come a little later, you know, because sometimes the money's not as, you know. Yeah. So if you're booking a bride, make sure that you express that when I block this date out, I can't get somebody else in 2 weeks. So I ain't giving you back none of your money. So you put that in the contract. Another thing, the reason what you put in the contract where you say limited liability, what you're saying to the bride is if anything goes wrong, I'm not saying that it will, but sometimes all you need is one time. If anything goes wrong, I'm guaranteeing you that you're getting back 100% of your money that you gave me. Now that's gonna make her feel nice, relaxed, and like, oh my God, if anything go wrong, she's gonna give me my money back. But guess what it does? It also guarantees that if something goes wrong, she can't get from you more than she paid you. So if she pay you $100, she can't take you to Judge Judy and sue you and say you ruined her entire wedding. You got to pay for the video guy and the camera guy. You got to pay for her dress. You got to pay for her flowers. You got to pay for her food. She can only get what she gave you. So that's one of the things. It's called a limited liability clause, in that she can only get from you what you could give. But even if you're not coming to the conference, I've asked my sister real nicely that would she do this and maybe put it up on her website and have you guys have access to get it. What she will do is customize your contracts for you. Put in your name and all of that and give it to you on what they call a PDF.
Yes.
And then all you have to do is fill in your bride's or the person's name in there each single time. Paulette have something to ask me.
Yes, I have a question from all the way from the UK, and she wants to know how to create a small pointy nose, and her name is Delilah Dos Santos.
Okay, how to create a small pointy nose. A small pointy nose the first thing, Delilah, is that we have to know, is the nose just broad, or is the nose broad and long? Because if the nose is wide, then what we want to do, we want to make sure that we put the central point right in here on the inside, so that that is the focus area, and we're going to darken out all the other places. But if our nose is also long, you can't take the highlight all the way down to the tip of her nose, because then you're going to make her nose even longer. So based upon the nose, what you're going to do, another thing too that determines how you should contour the nose is whether her eyes are close set, or her eyes are wide set, or her eyes are properly proportioned. For example, I'm going to bother Paulette again. Oh, she's going to hate me today. So Miss Paulette, I'm just going to push this back and you just scoot over a little bit. Let me just show you on Paulette real quick. We're going to knock over lights here in a minute.
No catastrophes.
She said, no catastrophes. Okay. Now, for example, Delilah, I want you to pay attention to this. Now, Paulette there's something called being evenly proportioned. For example, Paulettes have one eye here and one here. Now, so that's why when you're correcting somebody's nose, it's not just their nose you have to correct. You have to make sure that we call the zones are properly proportioned. For example, from her hairline to her brows is zone 1, her eyes to her nose is zone 2, and her lips to her chin is zone 3. So it's not just correcting the nose. What will help to correct the nose is if the eyes are properly proportioned away from each other. So when you're going to give her that nice pointy little chiseled nose, you have to take into consideration, is her eyes properly proportioned away from each other? For example, if I take my finger and put it right at the corner of the outside of Paulette's eye, and if I put my finger right on the inside of Paulette's eye, and I move my fingers without moving the sides, and I place them here, am I touching both inside corners of Paulette's eye? If the answer is yes, it means that her eyes are perfectly proportioned for her face. So when you're highlighting and when you want to chisel the nose down, then what I could do is take her highlights from all the way over here, from where one brow starts, to all the way over here to where the other brows start, and bring it down straight into the nose. But because her eyes are properly proportioned, her nose is a little bit larger. So what you don't want to do, you don't want to take the highlight all the way down to the tip of Paulette's nose, because I'm not only going to make Paulette's nose broad, I'm going to make Paulette's nose long. So I want to make sure that I don't do that. So when I'm doing it, I want to make sure that the highlight should not pass her brow. So the highlight shouldn't pass the bridge of her nose right here. So when you're highlighting, you only can highlight in between the bridge here and the bridge there. So the highlight has to come from here all the way up into here and spread onto here, above the brow and below the brow. So, but where you want to do, so even if I took the highlight all the way here, when I powder her, I'm going to have to make sure that I use a little bit of the darker color powder onto the tips of the nose, that the nose doesn't look elongated and longer than it really should look. Am I making sense?
Yep.
So what you do is that when you highlight, you have to make sure that because the eyes are properly proportioned, you could go from here to here with the highlight and bring it all the way down to the nose. Now, let's say her eyes were close set. If her eyes were close set, that means that when you look at her, this eye is all the way over here and this eye is all the way over here, and she can't fit one of her own eye in between her two eyes. On her, you want to make sure when you highlight to make the nose look smaller, you have to exaggerate the highlight a little bit further over, so then the highlight has to come and enter all the way here, across here, to the two brows. So what it will do, the highlight will help to push not only the brows apart, but the eyes further apart. So then automatically, once you come down on the nose, it will chisel into the nose and make the nose look like it's smaller. In the opposite, if her eyes were far set, if her eye was all the way over here, and you have too much space in between, when you're trying to contour that nose, you have to be very, very, very careful. You can't take the highlights from eyebrow to eyebrow, because what you're doing, you're not only widening the nose, you're pushing the eyes further apart. So when you highlight, the highlight should stay right here in the center, and then you're going to have parts of her own skin before you even get to her brows. So it's tricky. It's a matter of everything flows into each other. So it's not just a matter of just doing one thing. Everything else flows into something else. So something you do wrong up here is going to make everything else wrong down here. Zone 1 is so important, because if the brows are not properly proportioned, then it throws off the whole entire look. Now, some people are just born gorgeous. Some people, you could throw dirt against their face and they look fabulous. But that's not the majority of us. The majority of us need a little bit of work. Yeah. So you're careful that when you are trying to chisel the nose down, you can't just look at just the nose itself. You have to look at where the eyes are proportioned and if the eyes are in the right place. Because everything that you do right from up here is going to help you when you reach down here. Next.
Okay, so EVEF Couture says, I see many persons using milk of magnesia as a primer. Do you recommend this as an effective primer? Do I use different primers on different clients?
No, 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 and no. Milk of magnesia is medicine. It's not intended as a primer. It's not intended as a moisturizer. It's not intended to absorb oil. It's not intended to do any of those things. It's actually intended just for that purpose, for you to use on your what? What do you use milk of magnesia?
For running belly. But auntie, on YouTube, and this is where I found it out as well, because I used to use Phyllis milk of magnesia.
Let me explain something to you. Whenever y'all are talking to me, don't ever mention what you see on TV.
Yeah.
It's either you want to learn the right thing or not at all. You tell me what job you're going to show up at. Somebody paying you $1,000 to do their face. After their moisturizer that they use from the specialty store costs $300 and $400 and $500. And she gonna let you pull out a bottle of milk of magnesia out of your purse and put it on her face. What kind of client do you have? I'm just saying, you know, and if that's what you're doing, you know, that's fine for when you didn't know anything different. But you see, once you know different, you go, because somebody the other day sent me an email. She said, girl, I discovered something to make you look so young, milk of magnesia. Paul said, boy, Trisha, we should go get it. Because, you know, Paul is like the devil. she be saying things in your head that you ain't supposed to hear. Because she's a computer person, she's not a makeup person. But there is a thin line between being a professional and not. All I'm saying to you, if those are the little tricks that you use, trust me, I've used milk of magnesia before in my life. Don't think I haven't. There is not a single thing wrong that you're supposed to do that I have not done it. I only know as much as I know because I've done everything wrong already. I did not become this smart person overnight. I've done screwed up a whole lot of faces. I've done drop glue on wax on a lot of people's lashes and they all came out. I've done screwed up a lot of brows. All I'm saying to you is that if you're a professional and you want to be paid as a professional, there are professional things that you have to use. Now, there are people who use milk of magnesia, but you want to know something? It dries out the skin terribly. Now, if you figure it's the only thing you could do, then you don't need milk of magnesia. You could use a toner with powder in it. I know especially Clarins have one. It's a toner for extremely oily skin. What it does, it has powder sitting at the bottom of it, and you have to actually shake the toner and apply it to your skin. And it has the same thing as milk of magnesia have in there, and it absorbs all the oil, but it's intended to use onto the face. Milk of magnesia wasn't made. Ain't nowhere you're going to read on a milk of magnesia bottle that is
For makeup.
used as a primer for your face. Milk of magnesia, Philips was so quick to denounce it because they don't want you to use it, and then you sue them. Just imagine, too, if you read the ingredients in milk of magnesia, it ain't supposed to go nowhere near your eye. It ain't supposed to go nowhere on your skin. It is intended for your stomach. I'm just saying. But, like, what do I know?
Okay, so Asia Roberts wants to know, how do I cover acne-prone skin? No. The second part of the primer question, Auntie, was, do I use different primers on different clients?
No, the primer, your primer is, I use one primer. The only time I use a different primer, like, for example, we manufacture, like, for example, this is the primer that people usually see. This is Total Pro. This is my line. This is what you normally see, something clear just like this, because the primer, first they make stuff for, Caucasian women, fair-skinned women, because they're the ones who wear a lot of makeup. We could go outside without putting on anything and get by. And then, so what I find, because the primer mattifies, the primer had a tendency to leave a residue onto darker women's skin. So what we did, we made a tinted primer. So we made a primer that had a little bit of color in it that when you put it onto darker skin, it does not leave a drying residue. So you don't have to use different primers. If you have a good primer, the same primer will work on every single person. You don't have to be a different primer. You can use the same primer. You could use the same clear one on everyone. Just be very careful that when you apply it, you should apply the foundation and your primer at the same time on darker skin, so you don't overcompensate and leave any kind of white lines or residue against her skin.
Oh.
We're going to take the last question.
Oh, wow. Wow, this is, okay. Okay, so I think this one is worth it. What opportunities exist for makeup artists? This is Bio Life, for secure jobs and consistency within the industry.
Ask that question.
What opportunities exist for makeup artists? Secure jobs consistently in the industry.
What opportunities are there for makeup artists to secure jobs in the industry? First things first, the first thing, and it seems like a hard thing to do, the first thing you have to do is decide who you want your client to be. You're like, I can't do that. I got to take what I could get. That's not a good thing. You need to decide who you want your client to be. Do I want to service a whole bunch of palettes? Do I want them young girls? Do I want my clientele to be Hispanic, predominantly black, predominantly white? Who do I want? But I want to do everybody. Then you sound like Walmart. Walmart wants to sell everything to everybody all the time. You are not them. You're going to have to figure out, where's my niche? Who do I want to service? And sometimes you have to create these situations for yourself. I wish I knew me when I was you guys. I wish I knew Trisha when I started out where you guys are. Because if I had just had a mentor, someone just to help me, someone just to tell me what to do, I would have been able to be so far now from where I am. What you're going to have to do, you're going to have to create your own situations. For example, what I did when I was starting out, I went into a beauty salon that all they were doing is hair. Nobody did makeup, nobody did brows. I was doing brows and lashes before it was popular. And what I did, I rented out my booth space, and all I did was makeup, I did brows, I did lashes, and of course then I used to do hair weaving too. But that was the majority of my business. Then I found photographers. There's some photographers that are starting out. They're not offering anything. They will exchange you. You do some work, and they'll exchange and give you images. You can build like that. But you're going to have to create your own situation. But most importantly, I don't wear stuff that I can't sell. So I created my own business. Entrepreneurial business. You have to create your own. You have to find, you have to dig your own space. Ain't nobody giving you nothing. Ain't nobody offering nothing. You have to go and you have to create all of this on your own. You're going to have to go find it. You're going to have to go beg it. You're going to have to create it. So what I did, I went into beauty salons and I did stuff there. I did stuff, I hooked up with photographers. Then there are so many, I can't tell you how many hundreds and hundreds of hours I worked for free. But when I did, I never worked anywhere that was not going to build my resume. Like my little girlfriend having a little fashion show, I ain't going there to go do no makeup for free, and I'm not going to benefit. But if I was able, somebody called me and said, okay, Patricia, we're doing this over here, and once I put it on my resume, it made my resume look better, I will go and I will work and for the credit. Or if somebody, my first couple of years I did television, I did the Bobby Jones Gospel Show for God knows how many seasons. We used to go to Las Vegas at first, twice a year, every spring, every fall. I used to pay my own airfare. I used to pay my own hotel. Thank God they had an MGM Grand back then, and they had a McDonald's in there. And what we used to do, we used to be in the hotel with everybody, you know, because sometimes you got to have your face in the place. People have to think that, you know, you have to fake it so you can make it. So when they saw us in there, they didn't know that we were going to McDonald's to have that dollar menu. When we got home, we were so constipated from eating all of that bread and cheap cheese and dollar food, we didn't know what to do with ourselves. But we had our face in the place. I went there, I sacrificed, and they kept seeing me and seeing me and seeing me till eventually, like, this record producer would say to me, oh, Patricia, we have a new artist, we haven't done their album cover yet, would you like to do it? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't even ask about the money. You know, it's after a while I realized that my skill and my creativity was not enough. I have to start thinking business. So when they come to me and say, oh, Patricia, I want you to do such and such, and I'm like, so what's the pay? Because I think I've done enough free work that now y'all have to start paying me for something. So at first they weren't paying me. They were like, okay, well, we'll pay your airfare and we'll give you somewhere to stay. Well, at least that wasn't coming out of my pocket. So it's something. What I'm trying to say to you guys is a process. It's a process. It's a process. Oprah did not become Oprah overnight. It's a process. Who knew, you know, the heavyset girl, she spoke well. Who would think when she first started the Oprah Winfrey Show that she was going to be this person, this magnificent specimen of business that she is today? But she was not this person overnight. I've been in this industry for over 30 years. I'm not saying it's going to take you this long. All I'm saying to you is that it is a process. It's a process. So when people tell me, oh, I've been in the makeup industry for so long, girl, I've been doing this for 5 years. Girl, I got underwear. That's 5 years old. I have underwear that's 20 years old. The bottom line is, it's a process. It took me 30-something years, I told somebody, to become an overnight success. 30-something years. It don't have to take you that long. But what happened is that in the meantime, you're going to have to make sure you learn. Just by you being on this live feed right now, it tells me right away that you want to learn the right things. It tells me right away that you are the kind of person that I would be looking for. It tells me right away that if I want to, if you have extra questions and you've been on this live feed, I will answer them. You can send me your email. I will help you because I see that you have the willingness to learn. Some people don't. Some people swear they don't need to know another thing until they die. And even though, and don't be fooled, because they have all these tremendous amount of followers and they have, first of all, they don't even reply to you guys. They don't even respond to you. Because the thing is, I'm on social media to encourage and inspire. I can't encourage and inspire you if I can't talk to you. I can't encourage and inspire you if when you have a question, I can't answer it. Maybe I'm doing this wrong, but like they say, loving you is wrong. I don't want to be right. If what I'm doing is the wrong thing, then I don't want to do the right thing. Oh, don't listen to her. She only been on social media now for about 2 months. She don't know what she's talking about. I've been in business for over 30-something years. Guess what? That ain't changed. I know how to make money. And the way you make money is that if people is the way you make your money, then you have to treat people the right way. People need to be given time. They have questions. Some of your questions, when you ask me the same question over and over, trust me, I mumble to myself and I cuss before I answer, but I still answer it. I say, and then she asked me the same thing 5 minutes ago. But some of you just learn differently. You're not dumb. It's just that you just learn different from other people. Some of you, you will never, ever get it if all you do is just watch it on YouTube or if you just watch somebody else do a demo. Some of you, that's not the way you learn. Some of you, you're going to have to save your coins and you're going to have to take a hands-on makeup class. Because some of you will never get it just by watching. I'm just saying, but what do I know? It's just that you all learn differently. And some of you just can't learn just by watching. See, Simone is one of them visual learners. I watch Simone watching me. She's a little lurker, She see me doing stuff, I saw her watching. And in 2 seconds, she gets it. But not all of you, that could happen to you. Some of you physically have to come and learn. Now, I put on Instagram this morning and on Facebook. Simone also put it up. Simone, did you put up yours yet, the competition? No, you forgot?
No, it's from a Jamaican makeup artist.
Okay, but you also have to put it on Instagram.
Yeah.
I know that some of you can never afford to come for me to teach you. I know that. That is why I have the conference in Jamaica and I'm only charging $600. I didn't know, though, that when I had a conference in Jamaica, that 90% of the conference was going to come from the damn United States of America. I didn't know that. Next time I'll say for Jamaican residents only.
Only, yes.
But I didn't know that 90% of the conference was going to come from the U.S. to come to Jamaica to the conference. But some of you can't even afford that. So I decided to have the competition. Now the competition, and don't say, I'm not so good, so I'm not going to enter. If you say you're not going to enter, then we might as well don't even have a conversation anymore. Don't send me another question. Don't ask me another question. Don't text me. Don't email me. Don't Twitter me. Don't Facebook me. Don't Instagram me. Don't send me another question if you're afraid to enter this competition. Because only when you enter will you know what you need to do next time that you could win next time. Also, what I did with the competition, it's not just for you to come to the conference at no cost. I'm also paying your hotel and your airfare. You have no excuses, which means I can't tell you, okay, you won, you could come to the conference for free, but you can't get there. So I'm giving you the opportunity to come to the conference. We will pay for you to come to the conference. Irregardless of where you live in the world, I will pay your airfare for you to come there, for you to come to the conference to learn. It's 2 winners. you should throw your hat in the ring, make sure you compete. Now, people are going to ask me, what product are you using? All the products I use are my very own. They're called Total Pro Cosmetics. Now, do I have it for sale? Not at this moment. We'll be using it at the conference, and it should be on my website within the next week or two. We had a little bit of glitch with it, so we had to pull some things, but it should be available in the next week or two in order for you to use. Another thing why I don't like selling just online, because I like people to use products first. So we put it online for those who actually come to the conference and experience the product. You could buy it. There's certain things like primers and stuff, palettes that you could buy that you don't have to use it. But I prefer for people to experience a product. Now at the conference, what do you bring with you? Absolutely nothing. You bring yourself and be ready to learn. Why do I do that? Because when I demo, I want you to be able to duplicate what I just did with the right things. So I know most of you already have enough products that you could feed the nation. But guess what? A lot of products don't make you a better artist. It's not about product, it's about skill. And this is what you guys have to do. You're going to have to get back to basics. Powder, foundation, and then you just put in the work. That's what you're going to have to do, and that one is going to work. Now, is there anything else real quickly, Ms. Paulette?
Yeah, well, we have another question that I wanted to get to from Instagram, and her name is Mims Beauty Bee. We'll answer your question on Instagram because we're going to wrap it up in just a moment.
All right, so what's her question?
Her question was, I have a problem under my eyes that no matter how much concealer or corrector I apply to it, it still appears in photos, the darkness.
Oh, then you're just using the wrong stuff. Because I have stuff that you put on that will even cover bad memories. You put on even memories. It let you forget old boyfriends. It let you forget bad relationships. It let you, if you don't mark down where you leave the children, you don't even remember where the children are. You just using just the wrong product. You don't have to use a whole lot of stuff. Most of the times, 99% of the time when we use foundation, we don't even use concealer. I have never used concealer, by the way. We use correctors. So what we'll do, if you get a chance to come to the conference, fine. But if you live in New York, I am going to be teaching at the New York Makeup Show. My class is on Sunday at 3:15 to 4 o'clock. I will be doing a demonstration class. More than likely, I'm going to drag Paulette again up on the stage to be my model. People say, why don't you use a younger model? Because when you pick somebody who's 12 and 14, you can put spit on them and they look good. You could test your skill by seeing if you could make an older woman look younger. And then people know whether or not you know what you're talking about. The class is absolutely free. It doesn't cost anything when I demo at the shows. I just can't charge y'all for demonstrations. I'm sorry. I don't know how to do that. So if you live in the New York area and you come into the New York Makeup Show, my class is on Sunday from 3:15 to 4 o'clock. I'll be teaching HD Bridal, and I usually will teach you as much as the time allows, so I usually try to get into stuff and get to things fast. So if you're coming, you know, sit down, grab a seat, because if you don't get a seat, everybody else get a seat. They sit on the floor, they stand against the walls. It's pretty much a fire hazard by the time you're done. But there's some good stuff, and if you can, please come. If you can come to the conference, please do. You will learn a lot. The conference is hands-on. There's a payment plan, especially the one in Vegas is 6 months from now. You ain't got no excuse. You could collect cans, sell bottles.
Get $1 from all your friends.
Get $1 from all your friends, Paulette said. Get on Facebook. You have all them friends, all them followers. Say, look, I need a sponsor. Help a sister out. Send me $2 towards my future. Send me $5 towards my future. One person can't give you $1,600, but 1,600 people could give you $1 each. I'm just saying, most of y'all go to church, tap up them church sisters. They might. All I'm saying to you is that if you really, 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 really want it, you need to find a way to find a way to find a way to get it. Now, you don't have to come for me to train you. You could go wherever else you think you could get hands-on training and you could learn as much. By all means, I strongly recommend that you do. Miss Simone, is there anything else before we close, ma'am?
No, Auntie, I covered basically everything, and that was the last question. But as I say, if they have any more, then they can email you.
They can ask me their questions on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram as well.
You can ask me your questions on Instagram, and I hope all of you are entering the competition. It is a
For Las Vegas, right?
for Las Vegas.
Right.
So, I'm leaving tomorrow morning early for Nigeria. From Nigeria, I have a stopover in Paris, and from there, I go straight to the New York makeup show. So if you're in New York, you will see me. I'll be teaching the class on Sunday, but I'll be at the show the entire day, and I'll be at the show the entire day on Monday. Then I come back home, and then I have a 3-day boot camp here at the house. I'm actually upstairs, if you can see behind me. Um, and then the following week, I leave for Jamaica, and pretty much I am booked all the way until sometime end of November. Now, this wasn't always the case, guys. But you know, you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and you just claim it and already start living as if you own it. And every single time, it will work. God bless you. I thank you for sharing your time with me, and it has been a pleasure. We will talk later. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.